been watching YouTube recently, then I'm sure you've seen the most recent bombardment of advertising from a new car insurance company called Root. While doing research for my project on police brutality, I've seen their ads so many times that I could re enlist back into the military just to get away from it. At first, I thought it was just another car insurance company until I came across this advertisement.
Let me ask you something. Do you think your car insurance rate is fair? See, here's how insurance works.
See, in the beginning of the video, they make an appeal to a sense of justice by asking if your car rate insurance is fair. Fair is an ambiguous term that could literally mean anything. However, it seems like they are alluding to the amount you pay for your insurance is unfair. They are framing it this in a way that high car insurance rates are unjust because you're not a bad driver. But let's be honest, you wouldn't admit to yourself if you were a bad driver anyway.
Premiums you pay go into a pool of money that covers expenses when you get into an accident. But here's the flaw in that system. Those premiums cover the accidents for all insured drivers.
The flaw in that system. According to Investopedia, insurance is a contract represented by a policy in which an individual or entity receives financial protection or reimbursement against losses from an insurance company. The company pools clients' risks to make payments more affordable for the insured. Insurance policies are used to hedge against the risk of financial losses, both big and small, that may result from damage to the insured or their property, or from liability for damage or injury caused to a third party. Through underwriting, a company may or may not accept the risk of potential future clients. So the flaw cannot be the pooling of money in order to spread out risk over a large number of individuals. That's the literal definition of insurance. No, Root is attacking the fact that these other insurance providers choose to voluntarily cover these drivers. So it's not systemic, but the choice of the insured to take on that risk.
Not all of them are good drivers. Yikes!
Well, no shit, not everyone is a good driver. Here, they use another ambiguous term, good driver. According to them, following the rules of the road qualifies you as a good driver. Braking, speed, and turns are things that you can control. However, times of day, miles driven, and driving routes are not really under your control. I live an hour away from my job, and not by choice, but out of affordability. So I drive a lot and have to drive at times of the day when there is severe congestion, and my routes may not be the safest because of highway use. So does one get put into the bad category for these things? Basically, Root decides if you're a good driver if you don't cost them any money. What is interesting here is that a company is trying to get people to behave a certain way by offering them lower costs by being better drivers. This is not government enforcing behavior, but a private company. The incentive is money. Don't get me wrong, this is a good thing. Incentivizing people to drive better will lower everyone's premiums and save lives. But it's just really weird to think of a company monitoring everything you do and providing you value based upon that. It's like voluntary spying. You give up a portion of your privacy and freedom in order to save a few dollars. I wonder how many anti-patriot people sign up for this. So what they do is what every insurance company wishes they could do: exclude the high-risk people from using their services. They use an app to determine if you're the ideal driver for them to insure. They're basically looking out for their profit margins. They frame it in a way that they're doing it for you and that you will gain the most value from this exclusion. However, the majority of the value extracted is from the insurance company by having very few people making claims while collecting a monthly service fee. Root is taking advantage of the fact that there's so many car insurance companies in the marketplace that they will take up these high-risk individuals and created a business model excluding them. Initially, Root won't have much of an effect in the insurance industry overall. My concern, though, is when more and more drivers get insured by Root and the ripple effects that will cause on other insurance agencies losing their low-risk drivers. When these low-risk drivers begin to leave, the pool of money to be used to pay for accidents shrinks. The premiums will begin to rise and push other drivers to look for cheaper car insurance. Eventually, high risk drivers will not be able to find insurance that they can afford and will be forced to either not drive or drive illegally, since all states require some sort of minimal car insurance. All the good drivers will be taken out of the pool, leaving nothing but the people no one else wants to insure. This is a problem. Almost every state has mandated car insurance except for New Hampshire, but you still must be able to prove that you can dish out the money to cover an accident first. It is a legal requirement in order to drive. Driving allows one to get to and from their place of employment. It is a means to get resources in which to pay for your auto insurance. Not every place has reliable public transportation, and in rural areas, taking taxis or ride sharing is incredibly expensive. So, leaving high-risk drivers out of the pool will undoubtedly affect poverty rates and social program spending. Now, I can already hear some of you saying that they should have made better choices in their driving habits, and they wouldn't have had this problem. To this I say, people can change. Maybe they were young and got into some fender benders because of distracted driving. Maybe they fell asleep at the wheel and ran into another car. Maybe speeding is just the general rule of thumb on a certain stretch of road. I don't believe all these individuals are just bad drivers, so I extend them the benefit of the doubt that they made some poor choices and can change. I also hear some of you crying about mandated insurance. We should just get rid of it. Well, that would be nice. However, it makes our lives easier when accidents do happen. You don't have to take people to court in order to have your property fixed or replaced. The benefit of insurance really comes through when you are not at fault. It makes sure that your property and life is taken care of with the least amount of burden to your daily routine. While insurance individually gives you a peace of mind, it gives everyone on the road a peace of mind as well. It benefits the community overall. See, Root is framing this concept as if it's a new idea and their system will be much different than their competitors. However, when you read further into Root's frequently asked questions, I don't think they are that much different. In fact, I think Root is using a clever marketing gimmick to attract new customers.
Rock and roll, vintage vinyl, music memorabilia in the lobby.
Okay, like the Hard Rock.
The what?
The Hard Rock Hotel. They've been using that theme for like years.
In the graph here, I believe BMV stands for Bureau of Motor Vehicles, so they base a large portion of your premium on your driver's record. Root then says, the number one factor here is your driving record. Fair enough. But then we have credit score, age, and marital status. All things that don't necessarily say anything about your driving ability. They state things like credit score, age, and marital status are not really relevant. However, those things help produce behavioral profiles that follow a general trend. Younger drivers are less experienced, and being married might mean you have kids in the car, thus a different driving style altogether. But when you look right below their infographic, you see this. Root doesn't label this graph at all. They intentionally leave them off to the side so no one can compare them, or they are using different shades of green to show differences. Anyone who has taken a basic class on data representation knows that this is a huge no-no. It's funny that they also take into account one's credit, age, and marital status as well, but state earlier these things don't really have anything to do with your ability to drive. These infographics mislead you to think that they are presenting some sort of data to their claim about how they're different, when in reality, they're really not. In fact, when you look at the questions about rising premiums, they say, the reasons why they say your rate will change are the exact same reasons why traditional insurance rates change. Your rate will increase even if you are a stellar driver based upon factors that all other insurance companies use. Root likes to hide behind the sustainable or fairness, which is a code word for profits, an amount of percent on return that they set. They can adjust this amount to give their CEO a raise or offer stock options to investors without the image of greed. It's all about framing, like this. When your rates When your rate raises or lowers, you can be sure that we've done all the calculations and are giving you the best price we can offer while being responsible as a company. So Root is either using clever marketing tactics to get better drivers on their policy to extract more money out of the consumer, or they are honestly trying to lower rates by only accepting low-risk drivers. Either way, they both present problems. One is misleading advertising, while the other is potentially increasing the rates of all of their drivers by extracting the low-risk people out of the pool. This is almost the same debate we are in when it comes to the healthcare industry. Getting all the high-risk individuals would lower the cost for healthier individuals, but would make the premiums for those other individuals skyrocket or climb to such a rate that they cannot afford health insurance. Sure, some of these high-risk individuals have health problems that are from their own doing, but not all of them. People born with health conditions that require constant medical care is no fault of their own, and we as a community should make sure that they can live the best life as possible. For those that are pro-life, this should be one of the policies you would pursue. I wanted to see if car accidents over the last couple years were on the rise overall and would give reason why insurance companies like Root were on the rise. What I found was pretty interesting. Fatalities. According to the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, the number of crashes and deaths per year was on a downward trend until 2014 and began increasing the following years. In the same years, passenger vehicles have made over 60% of these crashes. The total number of deaths per 1 million miles has been on a downward trend since the 1980s. Deaths contributed to speeding have declined. What's interesting is where these deaths are occurring. The gap between rural and urban deaths has decreased significantly. This could be because of faster ambulance response times and the increase of medical technology. However, rural area crashes are more deadly since they involve single-lane roads with an increased factor for speeding involved. These deaths usually happen at speeds above 55 miles per hour. Traffic deaths are on a general downward trend and have been a lot less than they have been in the past. So what else could be causing the insurance industry to have increased premiums? Overall, claim frequency and the cost of repairs has been rising. Losses for insurance companies are also on the rise and have increased faster than the expenses of the companies. Here's the most interesting portion of the data. More time driven will increase the frequency of claims. Why are Americans driving more? Well, it turns out that the price of gas and low unemployment are driving factors. Two things that are essentially good for the country are also causing automobile insurance premiums to rise. The cost of bodywork is rising faster than inflation, with the severity of claims increasing every year. It seems that many of the factors that are increasing premiums overall are just out of the individual's control. The more cars on the road, the higher the chance of accidents happening. People living in rural areas with very little access to emergency care. The cost of gas increasing the number of miles driven by everyone. The cost of bodywork, price of parts and labor, and lower unemployment rates that lead to more people being on the road. Root Car Insurance takes all these things into consideration when calculating an individual's premium, trying to save you money in an industry that is seeing increasing cost over time is laughable. The only thing you can actually save money on is the percent in which your premium will change. You can always almost count on premiums increasing since we have inflation. I just had to get this off my mind because I'm tired of seeing their advertisement in every one of the videos I'm trying to watch on YouTube. Anyways, thanks guys for listening. If you liked the video, please like, share, subscribe.